Hi, my name's Tom Elliott, Director of Beulah Capital. With me is Beulah's Chief Investment Officer, Dr. Peter Mavromatis. And today we're going to talk about Beulah's approach to what we call our multi-asset classes. Now here in Beulah, we take the assessment of clients' needs very, very seriously. We're an independent financial advice house with our own licence. We're not beholden to anybody. And we classify people all the way from conservative in terms of their approach to risk through to growth. Now, we look at things like shares, bonds, cash, international shares to try and work out what is best for different sorts of investors. For more detail on how we make this selection and this approach, Dr. Peter Mavromatis, tell us about it.
So Tom, what we're trying to do here is optimise risk-adjusted returns for different multi-asset strategies based from conservative through to growth. Now, we effectively, over the long term, will look to generate returns of CPI plus 3 to 5%, depending on the risk profile of an investor. The way we go about doing this is using a top-down approach. So we begin by looking at the global macro landscape by taking into account economic conditions in the world's key regions as well as here in Australia. And we combine that with forecasts in the various asset classes that you talked about: cash, bonds and fixed interest, equities, both domestic and abroad, property, and indeed alternative asset classes such as infrastructure that don't always fit nicely in those other buckets. The portfolio is managed to a strategic benchmark, and those benchmarks differ depending on the riskiness of each portfolio. So the conservative portfolios will have a higher tilt towards defensive assets, whereas the more growthy portfolios will have a smaller tilt towards the defensive assets. Some of these asset classes, such as domestic equities, are managed in-house, whereas classes such as international equities and alternatives are managed by best-of-breed managers.
Thank you very much, Peter. Well, as you can see, Beulah Capital is very much an independent financial advice house. We look at people's attitudes towards risk and we tailor their investments accordingly. Thank you very much for your company.